your girl Rhonda. Welcome to my channel. We made it to another one. Season 14, Real Housewives of Atlanta reunion. So excited to get into it. First, let's do the thing. Go ahead, like the video and subscribe to my channel. And where do we begin? I guess we started the set. The set was dope. It was a Jamaican theme. They put these ladies literally on an island. That's funny. Nobody can run away. Nobody can decide that they're too pissed off to sit next to whoever they sit next to. So on one side, you got Sheree, Kenya, and Candy. And on the other side, you got Marlo, Drew, and Samuel. I guess that's a big deal. Who gets to sit next to Andy? I mean, I guess Marlo and Sheree started the most shit, had the most shit going on, I guess. I don't think it matters. They can show out from whatever seat they sitting in. So let's start with the reunion looks, shall we? Let's start with Sanya in this terrible ass dress. This dress has multiple personalities. I don't know what's going on here. She's an ice skater and she's a, I don't know, warrior on one side or I don't know, Victoria's Secret model. I don't know what's happening. It's too much going on. It's like a ball gown on one side and a tacky ass Fredericks of Hollywood dress on the other side. Her hair looks good. Her makeup looks good. It's just that dress. I suppose, Sanya, girl, where are we gonna go next? Well, let's start with how they were sitting. So starting from, the back of the end, from the end of the couch to the front, next to the fabulous Andy Cohen. So then we have Drew. Drew's dress looks pretty in some pictures and not that pretty in other pictures. She looked good. I mean, I can't take nothing away from her. Her hair looked good. Her dress looked good. I'm really not a fan of that thing up around her shoulder, but the dress needs to be interesting when she's sitting, so I get it. So, Drew actually looked very nice. I would say, honestly, like if we're rating people, Drew would definitely be my number 2. And so at the front of the couch, sitting next to Andy on this side, is Marlo. Marlo has on some kind of flamingo dancer. I don't know what she's doing. She got tulle coming out the titty on one side and a bathing suit top on the other side. Their dresses all made of the same fabric. I don't know. It looked like her and Sanya were shopping together and switched sides. Like Sanya took, both of their dresses are doing one thing on one side and one thing on the other side, and she looks like a freaking flamingo peacock. I don't know. I don't like it, but her hair looks like it always looks, and her makeup looks good. So there you have that. I like her shoes. Her shoes are pretty. I didn't see Sanya's shoes, but I'm sure they're way too much. Just like that dress. Okay, on the other side at the end of the couch, we got Candy. I think Candy looks amazing. I don't love her hair, but I don't hate it either. I like Candy's dress, the velvet and everything. It looks very rich, just like Candy. Her body looks good. Her makeup looks good. Candy looks good. So yeah, if I had to rate, Candy would definitely be my number 1. Candy is my number 1, and I'm gonna go with Drew as my number 2. And then sitting in the middle is Kenya. Kenya's dress is okay. Maybe I need to do my research, because when I'm looking at these dresses, I'm like, did the same person do this? Here's another dress that's like one sparkly thing on one side and something else on the other side. I don't hate it. It's okay. It's unremarkable. Kenya, her hair is doing too much. I feel like she was on some Beyonce shit, and I want her to stop doing that. Her makeup is good, but it's a whole lot of hair, Kenya Moore. That's all. So where would she fall in the category? I'm gonna put Kenya at number 3. Like, I don't hate it, but what the heck is going on with the dress of doing one thing on one side. I guess that's why I like Drew and Candy so much, because it looks like, you know, the same dress, not two different dresses attached together to make, you know, one dress with. Uh, who's in the middle? Okay, so Candy, Kenya, and Sheree. Sheree clearly went over to her friend Kim Zolciak and, you know, got one of her titty mama dresses, because that's all I see is her big old titties pushing out through the middle of that dress. It looks real cheap, Miss I Am Fashion. Her wig also came from Kim Zolciak's house. So is she dressed up like him? I'm confused. I mean, there was that whole moment where they were like, I'm the Black Kim. Yeah, you're the Black me. You're the Black version of me. Girl, there you go. Being the Black version of Kim Zolciak, I guess. Do your thing, girl. So, yeah, those would be the fashions. So, like I said, Candy number one, Drew would be the number two for me. Three would be Kenya. Where do we go from here? Jesus. I'm guessing I'm gonna give Kim Zolciak 2.0 fourth place, fifth Marlo, and yes, Sanya, that's tragic. It's just tragic. Anyway, so those were the fashions. Let's get into this show though. We want to know who's the bone carrier. They was all carrying bones all over the place. There was a whole montage of all the ladies like doing their version of bone carrier. So bone carrier is everyone. I think everybody has that moment now. They know what the assignment is, and so they go execute it. And how close they are with the person on the other side of the drama, then that determines whether they'll put it out there or how they put it out there. So yeah, everybody came for everybody this season. Some just were not that good at it. Let's see here. So Drew and Sheree get into it. That's where the whole thing starts. Drew said, you know, just I think it was Candy. Candy said, you're the bone carrier, Drew, because you was literally throwing bones on the floor, and she did. Drew was corny, and she continues to be corny. So then she said something to Sheree about, yeah, she was carrying bones for Sheree's Chihuahua. She was talking about Platoon. Whatever she was trying to say, it kind of fell flat. Sheree just kind of, you know, looked at her crazy, and then we heard birds chirping because it was corny, Drew. Just like throwing the bones on the floor. That was corny too. Then it's time for Drew and Sanya to get at it. But I mean, I guess that's, you know, kind of where things got started for Drew and Sanya. First they were friends, then they weren't friends. Drew says something about Sanya doesn't have a mind of her own. I don't know that that's a good description of Sanya. She has a mind of her own. She just wants to be part of the popular girls, I guess. I don't know what she wants, honey. She's confusing. I don't know what she wants. You know, when you think about it, like the whole way it started with her, you know, trying to cozy up to Candy and Kenya, and then, you know, however she did, she played Drew from the very beginning. So they get into that. Drew actually doesn't understand why Sanya why Sanya is mad at her. She says Sanya is a good runner. That's about it. And Sanya was like, well, I've accomplished a lot more than that. And basically all you bring to the table is mediocrity. So they got all like catty with each other. And, you know, Drew was like, don't try to downgrade me or whatever she was saying. It was a silly fight, just like the whole fight that they were having from the very beginning. It doesn't make sense. And Sanya doesn't really do a good job of articulating what it is she's feeling. And I think she's also on bullshit. Like, she really don't have no reason to be mad at Drew. I don't understand how you can be mad at somebody for something that you, not even something, she didn't do nothing to anybody. She's annoying, like you can say she's annoying, but what you mad for? She don't even know. Where's Tyrone Sheree? We don't know where Tyrone is. Tyrone and Sheree is a thing of the past, allegedly. Sheree said that she by Sheree's finished, and Andy's like, so can I go get some right now? And she's like, no, it's gonna launch on, the night of the finale. We know what happened with that. It did launch, it didn't launch, the shit crashed, she didn't have the stuff for the fashion show, she didn't pay the guy that had it was a whole lot of shit that went down with Sheree and she by Sheree. As of now, the joggers are back up. I'm not pulling up her website, so go on. You can find it. You can get you a little discount code because she said it's she not shine. For the people that said her designs was coming off of Shein. I think Andy asked her about, when she was like talking about some of her joggers were coming out or what have you, and what's taking so long for 14 years for her to get here. And she said because her priority was raising her children, her 35-year-old children. A question from one of the viewers wanted to know that why was Candy shading everybody on Speak on It? And they give you a little clip of Speak on It. Sheree doesn't want to take responsibilities for the things she said. Candy is pretty much like, when I look at the show and I see them talking shit about me, then I'm gonna have something to say. Don't be mad at her because she got 10 million followers and a YouTube channel, and she's like reviewing the show, and people have. Sheree, you were talking bad about her, and they gave her all the clips that she was talking shit about Candy, but she somehow has amnesia and doesn't remember. She doesn't remember saying anything about Candy, but we heard it, girl, and you did, and so that's what it is. Sheree seems to think she's good clickbait. I don't know why, because you're not that interesting. We watched you like not do a fashion show really by yourself because homegirl helped you and whoever else you paid. You didn't present no designs that were designed by you. Tyrone was all for pretend, and what else did you do? You ate some potato chips and you threw a little party. Somebody asked Sheree why she's constantly shading Drop It with Drew. And she said, well, because they said, why are you constantly shading Drop It with Drew when it took you 14 years to get your, She by Sheree together? So really you have no room to say anything about what Drew was doing. And Sheree said, well, because she's fashion. She represents fashion. That's what she said. I guess, girl, she represents fashion, and I don't know when she was ever representing fashion. She represents shopping. I would say, yeah. I don't know that she from the very beginning, she hasn't designed anything. Sheree is always presenting herself, showing up somewhere with somebody else's label attached to her. She's a Fendi girl. She's a Louis Vuitton girl. She's a label whore, and that's okay. But then don't say you're fashion, and not in the way you're trying to pretend like you represent fashion. Like you could represent a fashion line. You could represent like most of the people with money that you got good taste in clothes, but hell, you can be broke and have good taste in clothes. I'm just saying. Anyway, she said Drew doesn't represent fitness. So, I mean, I guess both of y'all are frauds, so it kind of doesn't matter. I feel like you can't call Drew out for anything because you're a whole fraud over here trying to pretend like you're a fashion designer, and I think that's the point. So then they get into, Drew was saying like, everybody there has had work done, and she she was like, everybody start claiming their thing. I've had my boobs done, and Drew implied that Sheree had her butt done. And as you know, Sheree lost her shit and was like, oh no, honey, these came from squats, not shots. I wonder though, because now that Nene is out here doing this professional, and I'm gonna say, in all the years that I've been watching this show, when Sheree was there, when she wasn't there, when she came back. I ain't never noticed her ass before. I knew she worked out, but I ain't never noticed her ass before. And then all of a sudden in season 14, her ass showed up, and I was like, hmm. So when I look at the season 1 ass, it definitely don't look the same as season 14 ass. Now you're talking about somebody like, 14 years ago, Sheree was close to 40 years old. So she's a fitness girl. And I feel like if you had, like Cynthia she had a fat ass when she got there. She still got a fat ass. Like, I don't know, Sheree, I'm wondering if you went to go see the professional, because your titties is spilling all out of that dress, like all through the cracks of it and everything. And I know, and it's been on every confessional that she has had. She got a bustier, and her titties have definitely made an appearance this season. But they don't never want to step up to the ass, and I don't know why. Because like, all I'm saying, Sheree, is you did get a little bit out of shape when you implied that you had some ass shots. Now, it could be squats, but wondering if that's not the case, because you be fraud. And so I'm just saying, you and Tyrone be scamming and doing things. And so why should I believe you on this thing when I know what my eyes can see and not believe you on other things? So Sheree, maybe you're not a designer, and maybe your ass had a little help. So you really can't be calling Drew fraud if you was over there getting shots along with your squats. That's all I'm saying. Somebody asked, why did it take her 14 years to get her, her business popping off? It took her so long to get Chateau Sheree, and then it took her, so much more long to, to get She by Sheree off. And they asked, are the rumors true about her not paying, paying people? And is that why, there's always such a delay on her projects? And she said, well, greatness takes time. That's what she said. Greatness takes time. And she doesn't have to, she works at her own pace. She don't have to rush for nobody. She don't have to do nothing to please nobody. She just does things her own way. She says she pays people when they need to get paid. She pays people that need to get paid. I don't know what that means, but it sounds like she don't pay people, because she was sure figuring out an explanation as to why you shouldn't pay people versus, why you should just go ahead and pay people. And Drew said, well, you dang sure didn't pay me. And she was like, well, I can't wait to get into that. So, but, then they wanted to call Anthony, and Andy was like, we ain't gonna call Anthony. We'll get into all of that. But, Kenya tried to explain to Sheree that if you get work done with someone and you don't like it, you still gotta pay for it. You just choose not to work with them again. Do you have a reason to not be dissatisfied, or you just not paying? Like when you with the whole thing with the party, I went and ordered balloons, and I mean the party looked nice. So you really just decided when you got there, I'm not gonna pay, and that's effed up. And then the guy that's saying like he did the designs for you, and then you didn't pay him. Now you've got a website with none of the designs and everybody's seen in the fashion show. So it doesn't make sense. It's not a situation where people are like bombing it, and then you're like, I'm not paying for that. You just willy-nilly decide whether you want to pay them or not, and that's not okay. And that's what Kenny was trying to explain to her. And she said something like, well, when you have a contract with someone, she's trying to figure out a way to, girl, Sheree, this is why you're in this position, because first of all, you're not a designer. So, you could have just came up with an online store and just did that. Dumbass. Anyway, let's just move along here. So to answer to your question, caller, no, she don't pay people. That part is not a rumor. That part is true. Somebody asked Candy, why does she use off-camera information to throw shade at people like Phaedra, and when she told Portia about Dennis? Is it a reality show or not? I feel like when she told Portia about Dennis, didn't she say something to Portia? I feel like it was a conversation. This person comes into the mix, and That part I didn't get. This is clearly somebody that's not a Candy fan, so they wanted to like try to bust her up. Phaedra with her drama with Apollo. I can't remember, child. What episodes were you watching? How many years did you go back? Did you watch the reruns to try to get evidence? The stuff that she did this time, like what information, what shade was she throwing that wasn't on camera? About who? Candy was pretty much like they was on the TV talking about me. So listen, when she does her speak on it, it's to review the show. So if she sees some nonsense that they're saying about her on the show, well then yeah, she gonna sting that ass on her YouTube channel, and I don't blame her. So is she coming for people with their secrets off camera stuff, or is she just coming for people that came for her? That's what I see. I don't know what you see. You should probably watch those reruns again and see if it really went the way you thought it went. Then Marlo enters herself in the conversation. So now she wants to try to justify the bullshit that went on with her saying that Candy doesn't help people. And she went back to, well, when this happened and I called you and blah, blah. She's trying to get this whole story started about when Candy tried to help her get a job, and she tried to discredit Candy by saying, why would I come to you? You're not a producer, you're a music person. I went to Todd. It was all very stupid because at the end of the day, Marlo, you were saying that Candy doesn't help you. And Candy was saying, how can you say that? She said Candy doesn't help people. You and Sheree sat up there. Sheree said Candy's all for herself, and you said Candy doesn't ever help anybody. Candy don't owe anybody any help, first of all. But I mean, who do you help, Marlo? Because I don't know, unless I know you got the little girls foundation over there. I don't know what was anything about that. But I do see Candy like publicly like getting people work and stuff. And like I said, she doesn't owe it to anybody. So I don't even understand why that's a thing. But Candy's whole point is, how can you say I don't help people when I tried to help you? Now, you felt like the contract wasn't to your standard, and so you decided that you didn't want to take the show. That doesn't negate the fact that Candy and Todd tried to help you. And they're one. They're a couple. They come as one. They decide together, I'm sure, whether or not what would be a good idea. So don't act like Candy wasn't part of the conversation. And you're on bullshit, Marlo. Still. Even Andy had to say, Candy does produce TV shows. Yeah. Plays back in the day when she put Portia on the play, and come on. Marlo knows she's on bullshit. That's why I don't like her. Then she tries to use her past as a reason to be an asshole to people. Candy is heated. So at this point, she's screaming at Marlo like, don't say anything. You know how Candy gets. And so then Sheree chimes in and was like, hey guys, it's supposed to be my segment. Sheree, Miss Clickbait, got so much going on, she can't even be the star of her own segment. Because while I was watching them two go at it, I forgot all about you, Sheree. So somebody called and asked, why were Tyrone and Sheree practicing abstinence after he had been inside for 8 years? And she said they weren't practicing abstinence at first, but she just couldn't take it anymore. This is what she told Andy, and she just said the D wasn't any good. She sat up there and said the D was trash. Sheree, I hope that don't backfire on you. First of all, I don't believe you. I think it's the fact that he's not having any money, that he's no longer able to fund your designer habit. That might have something to do with it, but I think that's so lame to come on and say the sex was bad. Like, it wasn't bad when you was in it. When you having sex with him before he went to jail, and then you went around and stayed in it, like, because would you have stayed in it like if you hadn't smashed before he got locked up? I feel like if the relationship was not intimate before he got locked up, ain't no way in the world you was gonna sit there for 8 years waiting on it to happen. So I feel like you had to trash D before he got locked up, and you waited for 8 years anyway just for let him to come out, and you say, nah, the D is trash. See what I'm saying? Straight, you be lying. I don't believe you. This don't sound right. I hope he don't, you girl, you come back talking about how, I hope that doesn't backfire on you. That's all I have to say. Somebody asked if she think Tyrone was using her. She said, yeah. And Andy is like, what was, he using you for? And Sheree said he was somewhere out here trying to make contracts behind her back. I believe that too. I believe that that's why he didn't show up, because I heard it in the blogs or wherever I heard it before the show ever happened. The word got out that he was out here trying to get paid for showing up on the show. So you would have had to go through Sheree for that, because the way I understand it, the husband's payment comes out of the budget for the housewives. So the only way for you to get paid, Tyrone, would be for Sheree to sign off on that. And she said, sorry about it, bro, not signing off on that. That makes me believe Sheree knew damn well he wasn't going to be there, because all of that shit had transpired before the shooting of the I'ma sit outside the restaurant for 2 hours in the cold waiting for Tyrone to not show up. So Sheree, again, there you are, back on bullshit. I can't believe nothing this lady said. She just had a nerve to sit up there and call somebody else a liar. That's funny, lying ass. Whew. Anyway, child. Andy asked her what's up with her boo. And well, we know who her boo is. And she said he's a nice guy. And Andy said, what does he do? You know, when Sheree gets stuttering, she's full of shit. So what does he do? He does real estate. He's on another show. He does real estate, and he just had a wine launch. Dun dun dun. Enters Marcel Hope. One of the viewers asked, though, why did you get with him knowing what he did to his ex-wife? Now, Sheree gonna sit up there and act like she ain't know what he did with his ex-wife, but Kenya had the details. Kenya was like, he cheated on her multiple times, and then he had an outside baby, and that's what he did, and that's why that's what he did to his ex-wife. And somebody asked, like, do you she said, do you ignore red flags? And Sheree says, I feel like we all ignore red flags. Maybe not those kind of red flags, though. Now, Kenya said she didn't know what happened with him and his ex-wife. But then she said on the show, like when she sees him on the show, she would never have thought that she would date somebody or get with somebody like him. But in person, it's like totally different. He's a really nice guy. But if you watched the show, then I guess you would have known what had happened with him and his ex-wife, because I watched the show and yeah, so we all know. Like, I don't know how you can watch the show and not know what had happened with him and his ex-wife, because you'd be lying. And she said, you know, he's a very good-looking guy. However, even though she's not really into looks, and Kenya gonna chime in and say, yeah, because we met Bob, and I was like, child, where is the lie? Let them Kenya, now that shit is funny. We did, didn't we? Anyway, Sonia and Drew. I'm tired of Sonia and Drew. Drew doesn't understand what she did, you know, to Sonia. Drew, you didn't do nothing to Sonia. Sonia don't know what you did to her either. So they go back and forth about Sonia is trying to say that she told Drew prior to that little get together they had on the couch that she was in the room with her and the makeup artist and Ralph. And she tried to discuss how she didn't like how she was moving, you know, then. And she called Drew a liar, because she said Drew was lying about that. That Drew was lying about the fact that she said, you know, they had a conversation prior to that. Okay, but Sonia, you said you didn't have a conversation with her prior to that because it was like 50 people in the room and you didn't want to have that conversation in front of other people. So somebody's lying, but I did hear you say two different things, Sonia. Maybe you should go back and watch like first few episodes where you can see where you said that. Then maybe you'll remember what you actually said and what actually happened. Girl, this is so annoying. This whole like conversation, them going back and forth and around with each other. Ugh. Then you could be friends with horrible ass Marlo. You don't like how you don't like how Drew is moving, but Marlo is just an angel. When somebody asks her, how did you feel about Marlo calling you a clout chaser? And she was like, well, Marlo didn't know me then. Well, you said this girl was just your acquaintance, but I guess it's different because you and Marlo and Sheree trying to have an alliance, and so you just don't, so she's to know me. It's one thing to say I didn't know her, but she called you a whole clout chaser. So y'all just change your opinions about everybody. And she said the whole thing with Sonia asking Kenya and Candy to be her mommy makeover shoot or what have you. So she's trying to defend that, and I didn't try to use them for clout because I didn't even ask them to share on their social media. I mean, I feel like it wouldn't be dumb if you did ask them. Plus, they all have, I mean, they have little kids, and you uninvited her. You should have just didn't uninvite her, but you wanted to have an issue with her, and that's when everybody caught an issue with you because you start doing like dumb shit. This is my work. That was your excuse for everything. This is my work, and I just don't want that energy in my work. When then stop inviting outside people to your work, then for stuff. Then she gets all emotional and she starts crying, and she doesn't want to talk about it anymore because I don't know, she's feeling some way about her reputation, I guess. And Andy said he tired of it too, and so am I. We none of us want to talk about it anymore because it doesn't even make sense that you just mad at this girl who didn't do anything to you. Yes, I mean, you don't like how she moved. That's your reason for. I mean, Drew is annoying. There's reasons not to like her, but you don't have one. Andy's like, he points out, he's like, well, she's crying, and Drew was like, well, she has tears, and I'm with Drew. Like, don't expect me to give a shit that she's crying. I don't care because it sounds stupid. And so if she got friends over here, one of her girlfriends, her alliance is to come over here. Marlo passed her tissue. She took care of her friend. I'm just don't care. So Marlo's story. Um, there's a whole montage of Marlo and her. I was raised in a foster home, and you know, she gets emotional talking about that part of her life. Marlo says she left home when she was 10 years old because her mother beat her up. And then she ended up being in 5 different foster homes. Um, I don't doubt that her story is very hard. That part, it had to suck. And anyone could be affected by it. And she brought up the fact that she feels like the women, well, she says some of the women, and every time she says that, I'm feeling like it's Candy and Kenya, the ones who are not allowing her to be an asshole to them. Some of the women make her feel like she's not worthy. Marlo, on one hand, like I get why she is this person that wants to fit in and all of that. But you can't, what did she say? Child, she says she's an iconic ex-con. No, you're not gonna take Kenya's line and try to flip it because it just didn't, it went flat. You're not an iconic ex-con. You can't keep throwing low blows at people though and think they still gonna keep fucking with you. That just doesn't make sense, regardless to what your story is. Kenya had a story. We didn't. I've spent this is the first season that I've liked Kenya really because all the other times I was always so annoyed with her. However, hearing the story about her mother, how do you not feel for that? How do you not sympathize with that? And then for you to go through what you went through and threw that in her face, once you said that, everybody knew it was too far. I ain't never felt the same about you. And I ain't really, like I said, I wasn't even here for Kenya back then, but I was like, damn, what kind of bitch is that? That was face shit like that. Like, you're not a kid. You can't even blow it off as she young and stupid. You was a whole ass grown ass woman saying retarded stuff like that. So anyway, they asked Kenya that Marlo meet her expectations with her first season of Housewives, and Kenya says no. And I get what Kenya is coming from. Like, even the story that she told, like in this moment, we get none of that during the season. We got her foolishness and being extra loud, and Kenya says she didn't take the opportunity to show her vulnerable side. She took things, and did low blows and weaponized, those things against people. She came for Kenya. I don't even remember why, because she didn't come to that stupid Sheree broke up with her fake ass boyfriend party. Like, are you for real? Marlo is so envious. She lets her envy turn into a weapon, like Kenya said. She brought up how Mama Joyce goes hard for Candy and she envies that. And so then she takes that same thing, Candy has a husband and she's successful. She comes at Candy with those things. So because I'm successful, that means I gotta be taking care of a man. Like, that's the kind of stuff that she does to Candy. And you know better because you were raised with your mother. I mean, and then with Kenya has some of those. Kenya has some of the same. I don't want to say qualities, but her behaviors are very similar in a way to Marlo's. But I still feel like Kenya was annoying and irritating and mean a lot of the times, but never in the way like how Marlo is, where you looking at her like, God, dog, what kind of person are you? So I don't know. Kenya said, you weaponized my relationship, like you turning around after being nice to me, because Andy was trying to say she was such a good friend to you in the beginning. And she said, yeah, she flipped it on me and weaponized it against me and bringing up like my ex-husband and stuff. Like, first you let her lean on you because Mark is being an asshole. Now you saying that's why Mark don't want you. That's the kind of stuff you do. Okay, well, if you don't keep saying shit like that to me, I just won't mess with you. I could be in the same room with you and, going back to the cabin. Kenya showed up. You want to try to tell her, and let's come have a meeting with me. Like, unless you come have a conversation with me, you're not going. Well, fucking what? We ain't cool like that no more. But you want to, like she said, that same thing, and weaponize people with the things that you're supposed to be being, allowing them to be vulnerable with. That's why people don't trust, because they know you can't trust everybody and be vulnerable with everybody, because they will like turn it on you and then you want to strangle them. Marlo says she didn't say nothing about Kenya's husband. I don't know what she's talking about, girl. Rewind, go back. Or is it that you just like so used to doing stuff like that you don't remember the shit that comes out of your mouth, and then try to use the excuse that I don't remember, and be trying to talk to people the next day, like you did Candy on that bus when she said, "Fuck out my face." Andy asked her, does she think her past affects her relationship with men? And Marla said, yes, she has daddy issues and abandonment issues. And she certainly isn't the only one that has that. I would say more people probably didn't. It's so many people in this world, especially when it comes to that particular thing, craving a daddy who ain't there. Mommy issues are one thing, but and there's a lot of people in this world with those too. Like, I was blessed. I would say if you ask my sister, she would tell you the same thing, that our mother was our best friend, both of us. So I feel blessed to even be able to say that. But I do hear a lot of people that didn't have a great relationship with their mother, not even like to the extent that Marlo is talking about, with people who just didn't have a great relationship with their mom and how that affects them. And, I think that sucks, because your mother is supposed to be the one person, just like your children feel about you. You're the one person that they can come to that's always got their back. And that's the person that you want to be anyway. So there's no doubt that her past has affected her relationships, not just with men, but with people. Like, she doesn't have any friends, real friends. At least not ones that we see on the show. And the ones that she has shown on the show are her around her because she's somehow like paying them to be there. She did this for me, she did that for me. That's how she, brings people in, by doing things, monetary things. The girls at the orphanage, at the foster girl, the girls in the foster are for her foundation that are in foster care. She don't want them to have nice clothes, hand-me-down clothes. They're above that. She doesn't want that. She wants them to have, designer clothes, which, learning to be humble and appreciative is a good quality. So them being able to have some clothes. I mean, you talking about Candy's hand-me-downs are more are brand new or stuff that she's barely ever, worn one or two times. So learning how to appreciate things is a good quality to have, I'm guessing based on her past, she don't understand that. So even little things like that, that Marlo like, I think it sucks that she was, in that situation. Um, it don't change how I feel about her though, because she hasn't like she takes that anger, she's still an angry person. She has a whole lot of work to do on Marlo. And unfortunately, the older you get, Marlo, you're damn near 50. The older you get, the more set in your ways you are not likely to change. So, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying it's not likely because you're still behaving that way. Even in this moment, you were sitting there talking about, yeah, I don't have relationships with men. I haven't had any, real love or I forget how Andy asked her if she had a healthy intimate relationship with a man or loving relationship, and she said no, she's never experienced that. And she was like, and these people like they come for me and they talk about how all kind of whores, but they can't produce one man that I've been with. And all of that was directed at Kenya. Again, she's taking everything that Kenya specifically said and putting it out there as this is what they say about me. And then Kenya tried to interject, but we didn't get a chance to hear what she had to say on the other side. We do see that, and obviously that fight's gonna get a little bit more intense. Kenya seems very unbothered because Kenya's in a good place right now, and I like Kenya in a good place. So maybe Marlo one day will get there, but clearly, and I mean again, Kenya didn't grow up in foster homes. Kenya grew up with her family, um, and she got some good relationships out of that. Her cousin, her aunt, there's people that she had in her life that she could go to, um, even if it wasn't her mother. I don't know that Marlo ever got that. Clearly she didn't, based on the way she, got tossed from one foster home. It sucks that the foster care system is like that. I remember having a coworker that, and we didn't work together anymore. Her and her mother were trying to become, taking, I don't know if it's her or her mother, but they lived together, I think. And anyway, they were, trying to take in a foster child, but I know it was all about just getting an extra check. And she asked if she could use me for a reference, and I remember thinking, I don't want to. That's something I'm not going to be referring people to unless I think. And I'm not saying they were bad people. I'm just saying it just didn't seem like no loving situation to be, and I don't want to be, a reference to that unless I can say these people would definitely take good care, of someone. So it sucks that it's like that, and that the people that are in the system are there. Motivation is money, because your motivation can't be money. A child is going to drive you absolutely nuts, especially one that's troubled, that comes from a situation. It takes a whole nother level of patience to deal with, children that more than likely have, like she was 10 years old and she left because she got beat up by her mother. So that's going to be a person that's going to need some extra attention and in order to heal. But anyway, that's how the first part of the reunion. I don't know, is there just two parts? I hope so, because I don't want to hear Drew and Stanya argue no more about why they don't like each other. We're fine. I enjoyed it. Yeah. So we'll revisit this next week when we get to part 2 of the reunion. In the meantime, don't forget to like my video, subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.